Hello everybody! I don't know if you've been keeping tabs on what's been happening in the gacha community recently, but a lot of popular creators have been being exposed for a lot of different things, and I think there are a lot of underlying problems in the community that are just being brought to light now, which I think is important, right? And if we want to make changes in the right direction, we need to first acknowledge the mistakes that we're making as a community. And that can be very uncomfortable. Once again, I think it's very important. And the thing is, everybody makes mistakes. Just because your favorite creator made a mistake, that doesn't mean you have to turn into a hater. I want people to be able to apologize correctly, right? To correctly recover from their mistakes. And that is very important. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Because with everything going on, I want you to be well equipped so that when you do make a mistake, you'll know how to handle it gracefully, you'll know how to handle it well, and you'll know how to move forward and become a better person after that. Because there's nothing wrong with making mistakes, as long as you fix them afterwards. If you continue making them, that's very problematic. I feel like that speaks for itself. So, anyway, this PowerPoint is entitled, How to Properly Handle Your Mistakes. So it's a step-by-step. Number 1 is to recognize what you did wrong. Number 2 is to make a sincere apology. And number 3 is to make the necessary changes. So you notice you've made a mistake when people make videos exposing you, ask you to address an issue in the comments or perhaps some other way. I think that, I didn't write this on here, but if you realize you've been making a mistake yourself, that's amazing. That's amazing. Apologizing for something no one's called you out on is very admirable. If I saw someone do that, my respect for them would go up so high. And it's about more than just my respect for you as a viewer. It's also about, doing the right thing. And that's important even when nobody's watching, right? But for the sake of this step, this step you would skip, I guess, if you figured that out yourself. So you notice this, right? You're being exposed for whatever mistake you made, be that a small mistake or maybe a bigger one. So you're going to want to watch these videos and read these comments with an open mind and try to understand why these people are criticizing you. Don't dismiss them because it's not what you want to hear. It can be very hurtful to read something negative about you. I understand that, okay? I have the deathly fear of making mistakes. I'm getting better, but I'm definitely a people pleaser. Like, I do not like being criticized. I do not like being called out. And so I can understand, like, when you see that, it hurts. Even when you know they're right. It does hurt, and it's okay that it hurts. But you have to read it with an open mind. Because they might be right, and you need to look at yourself and see if they are right. Because if they are, if you continue making this mistake, it's going to be bad for you, for the people that you're harming, and just for the people that support you. You have to try and understand, right? You can't just dismiss it because it's negative, and it's not what you want to hear, okay? That's very important. And some of these comments may be really hateful, and it's hard, but you need to look at yourself and realize maybe parts of what they're saying are wrong, maybe parts of it are right. You need to analyze it, and you need to have an open mind and be willing to admit, yeah, I may have screwed up, right? Remember that everyone makes mistakes, and that it's okay that you did. This is not the end of the world. I said this at the beginning, right? Everybody makes mistakes. I don't think there's a YouTuber or gachatuber in the entirety of time that has ever not made a mistake. I've made mistakes. I've made many mistakes, right? And I've done my best to fix them. And that is important. And as long as you do that, it's okay. Like, you don't need to freak out. It's okay. You can calm down. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of your career. It's about how you handle it afterwards, right? People are going to make mistakes. And really what you judge their character on is how they handle that afterwards. Understand why your actions were problematic or hurtful to a person or group of people. So, the reason that what you did is problematic is that it hurt somebody, right? Maybe you traced somebody's art. Maybe you traced somebody's art, right? Like Devil Bonnet gets art traced all the time. I feel so bad. I feel so bad for her. You know? Then you gotta understand, this is hurting Devil Bonnet. It's hurting her because she spent time drawing that, and then people are just tracing it because they think it's a trend. Tracing is not a trend. Tracing is never a trend. Okay? Especially with, even if it's a base and you're not using credits when credits are due, it's not a trend. Don't do it. Don't do it just because everyone else is doing it. You have to know, okay? It's important. But I'm going down a rabbit hole there. Right? My point is, what you've done, it hurt somebody. You have to think about it, right? Why does tracing hurt someone? Why does tracing hurt someone? It's because someone spent time to make that art, and you're just stealing it and modifying it and using it for yourself. Right? It's hurtful to the artist. And you need to understand that. It is easy to be attached to your work, especially if you spent a lot of time on it, but that doesn't erase the problem surrounding it, right? You spent a lot of time on something, and it's problematic, it hurts someone, it's offensive to a certain community of people. It is. No matter how much time you spent on it. Maybe most of it's good and one part's bad. You still need to apologize for that one part. Right? It doesn't erase the problems. If you make something that's mostly good and just kind of bad in one area, apologize for that. It's important because people are still hurt. Okay, step number 2 is to make a sincere apology. Apologizing to the person or group of people who have been harmed in some way by your actions will go a long way for both you and for them, right? If you've hurt someone in real life, what do, right? You should apologize. That's at least always what my parents made me do as a kid, right? This isn't just for something you should do to your siblings, right? This is something that you should do even into adulthood when you hurt somebody. And it will help you and them. It will help both of you. It helps both of you is what I'm saying, right? It helps them because they know you regret it, and it helps you move forward and become a better person. An apology isn't a way to admit defeat from another party, but a way to reform the bond that was broken with the other party. It's very easy when people are saying negative things about you to get into this kind of me versus them mindset, but it shouldn't be like that, right? You shouldn't have this feud between this person or this group of people, right? And an apology isn't saying, you won the battle, I give up, you're right, I'm wrong. No. It's saying, I hurt you, and I regret it, and I'm sorry. And I don't want us to be I don't want us to be enemies anymore. I want us to be friends, right? It's like that. It's not a way of, it's not a way of admitting defeat. It's not a way of becoming weak. It's actually a very strong and brave thing to do. It's a very admirable thing to do. Admirable. I'm so sorry. This video is too serious for me. Be sincere in your apology, or you may as well not make one. Nothing looks worse for somebody than a terrible apology. I've seen so many bad apologies on YouTube. Like, it's literally become a joke, the YouTuber apology. Especially that recent one. You know what I'm talking about. I don't want to bring that drama into this video, but I'm sure you know the one I'm talking about. It's literally doing the opposite of what a good apology would do. If I see someone make a mistake and they come up with a terrible apology, I'm going to like them less than I did before. I'm not going to go, oh, they apologized. It's okay. The mistake has been erased. Like, no, That's a terrible apology. They're a terrible person. I'm unsubscribing. Right? I didn't even hit the don't recommend this channel button because I don't want to support somebody like that. Yeah, do not make an insincere apology. It's a bad idea. Bad move. Never make one. Unless it's like a joke or something. That would actually be pretty funny. Okay, so I have inserted, this is the definition from dictionary.com for apology. It is a noun, right? Sorry, this is an English class. So, an apology is a written or spoken expression of one's regret, remorse, or sorrow for having insulted, failed, injured, or wronged another. This is what an apology is. This is what you're going to be doing when you make an apology for your mistakes, right? This right here. I don't care what you've heard. This is an apology. I think this is a really good definition. Right? Okay? The dictionary says it. The dictionary says it, not me. I cited my source. So, now, first, before we talk about how to make an apology, I first want to give a little pointers on what not to do, because that's very important as well. Explaining your actions is not an apology. Like we just said, I'll go back to the definition. Like we just said, it's an expression of one's regret, remorse, or sorrow. It's not an explanation. That's not an apology. Saying, oh, I didn't give credits when I did this trend because I didn't know you were supposed to give credits. That's great. That's not an apology. That's an explanation. That's telling us why. That's not telling us that you regret not giving credits. Okay? Very different. I know it looks similar, but how would I rephrase that into apology, right? Think about it. So the explanation is, I didn't give credits when I did this trend because I didn't know that the original, like the person who made the trend required credits. The apology would be, I didn't give credits because I didn't know it required credits, and I'm sorry. I've added credits into the title. And yeah, maybe you want to apologize specifically to the original person who made the trend if possible, right? But saying, just putting I'm sorry in there does so much. Like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I regret it. And I fixed my mistake. That's great. That's amazing. We love that. Just saying, oh, it's fine. I didn't know. It's okay now, right? That's an explanation. That's not an apology. Avoid being overly defensive and close-minded. Yeah, you do not want to defend yourself when you're wrong. It's not just that it's not a good look. It's just not a good thing to do, right? Very easy to be defensive when people are saying negative things about you. I get that. It's going to put you into defense mode. And you're going to be like, well, I did this because of this, and because of this, and that. Calm down, okay? Being overly defensive is just going to get you to say more things that maybe you don't mean, that aren't true, right? We're only going to escalate the situation by being closed-minded and refusing to admit mistakes, right? We talked about this before. An apology is not a defense, at least not in the sense we're using the word now. I think another definition of it is, but that's getting into wherever words come from, right? This use of the word apology, it's not a defense. Not a defense. You're not defending yourself. You're apologizing. You say, I regret this. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. That's completely the opposite of, I didn't actually make a mistake. These people are just saying all these really mean things about me. That's not an apology. That is not an apology. That's not an apology. That's not an apology. Absolutely do not guilt trip the viewer. I don't understand why this even has to be said. But I've seen it so many times. You know, if you think you can successfully guilt trip the entirety of the internet, you are very dumb. One person could figure it out. Like, some people may fall for it, but if one person figures it out, they're gonna tell everybody, and then boom. Like, they're gonna be like, oh, you're right. That is actually really guilt trippy. I didn't notice that first. Like, it's a bad idea. You're going to be found out. So, bad luck for you. But again, this isn't just about your image. Although, that is important as a content creator, as an entertainer, right? That is important. Your image is important. But it's not just about that. It's just a pretty crappy thing to do. Guilt tripping is highly manipulative. Okay? So do not say, I've been so depressed, like reading all these comments and I even did this horrible thing to myself or something like that. That is sick. That's horrible. Never say that. That's absolutely terrible. Do not do this. Okay? An apology is an expression of regret. Okay? Admitting your true feelings is different than manipulating somebody. There is a difference. You can say, like, this has been really upsetting for me. Right? As long as you're not blaming your emotions on somebody else, right? It's fine. But guilt tripping is specifically saying, I'm sad, it's your fault, basically. That's what it is. Like, you should feel guilty because look at me, I'm so sad, right? Don't do that. That's terrible. That's a horrible thing to do to somebody. I cannot think of any situation in which you should guilt trip somebody. Do not say, oops, my bad, and refuse to fully address the issue. Let the people you hurt know you are sorry. I talked about this a bit on the first point, right? But you do not want to be dismissive. You have genuinely hurt somebody, and if you recognize that for like a split second and then move on with your life, that doesn't feel genuine. That feels like, kind of like, oh, I see, I have to do this, I did it, checked the box, and I'm off. No. Let them know you're sorry. They need to know. They need to know that you're genuinely sorry and you genuinely regret what you did, right? Which I hope you do. You know? Do not try to be funny. This isn't a joke. It's a very serious matter. It depends on how terrible your actions were, right? Obviously, there's a big difference between, like, I don't know, tracing a base and then, like, saying a slur. Like, those are two very different things. It goes even worse than saying a slur, right? I just didn't want to say anything worse than that. Because it can get into some pretty bad stuff. And if it gets illegal, I don't think an apology is going to help you, man. But it's a serious matter, okay? In your apology, you want to be serious. You want people to know this is how you actually feel. This isn't some kind of joke. This isn't supposed to be entertaining or funny. Or, oh wow, they're so creative and quirky. Like, no. Be serious. And a serious, and it could be just a serious, I'm so sorry to this person or this group of people that I've hurt. And I want to move forward and make changes and not do that again or something like that. That didn't take that long. It really doesn't take that much effort. But anyway, speaking of, I kind of spoiled it a little, but now we're going to talk about how to make a good apology. Address the issue as soon as possible. The last thing you want is to leave the drama going, because it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse the longer you don't address it. Ignoring a problem does not solve it, okay? It does not solve it. You cannot just ignore it until the drama gets so bad that you are forced to address it. You do not want to do that. Again, if you notice you made a mistake before anybody else does, addressing it quickly is such a good thing to do. It's not just good for your image, it is just a good thing to do as a person, okay? Addressing it quickly as soon as possible, right? If you have stuff going on, it's okay to delay it. Maybe you can even say, like, hey, I want to apologize for this fully, but I have, like, a lot of exams this week, and I want to wait until I have the time to fully address the situation. Saying something like that would be very good, right? But you want to address it as soon as possible, because the drama is going to get really bad. People are going to get really worked up, really angry. Misinformation is going to start to spread. You don't want that to happen. You want to address it as soon as possible. As soon as you notice it, and as soon as you have the available time, address it, please. It's much better for you. Set aside a good amount of time to make a video or post regarding the issue. You don't want your apology video to look rushed, or it doesn't have to be a video. It could also be, like, written. It could be written, right? You don't want your apology to look rushed. You want it to look genuine. And if there's a lot of misspellings or whatever, it's not, right? You need to set aside time to think through what you're going to say it, and make sure that it properly conveys what you actually mean. Because a lot of times, if there's misspellings or bad grammar, it can be misinterpreted, right? Maybe just bad choice of words can be misinterpreted. So you want to make sure that the words you write are saying what you actually want to say, and you need time for that. Do it in a time when you're not overly emotional. It's okay to be hurt by the situation, but you can't let sadness or anger get the best of you. If you do it while you're emotional, you're going to perhaps go to guilt tripping, or you're going to be defensive, right? You can even seem angry. It doesn't feel genuine. It can be painful for the person watching it, or reading it. You want to not be overly emotional also, because you need to be able to think clearly. If you're upset or angry or whatever, you're not going to be able to think as clearly, and you may say things that you don't mean, which is the last thing you want to do when you're already in a tough situation. It's stressful, I know. It's upsetting. So you need to calm yourself down, whatever that means for you. Okay? It's very important. You want to be in a good, headspace. You make your apology. I cannot stress this enough. It's very important that you have an open mind and are able to admit that you were wrong. And that's a hard thing to do. So you want to make sure that you're in a good place. So now we're getting down to this actual apology. So, number 1, admit you were wrong, that you realize that your actions have hurt people either advertently or inadvertently. Okay? I'm sure you've all heard the apology, "I'm sorry if I hurt you." That's so... that is so insincere. I'm sorry if you hurt me? If? So you're not acknowledging my feelings on the matter. You're not acknowledging the way that I feel. That saying something like this, or doing something like this, or whatever, would hurt me. Right? Think about it. Think about how if someone stole your video or something and you asked them to apologize, what would you want them to say? Would you want them to say, "I'm sorry if I hurt you"? No. You want to admit that you're wrong, right? I did something wrong and I hurt you and I'm sorry. That's important. Now, you may have hurt people inadvertently. I don't want to name names again. I do not want to bring drama from other creators into this, but I saw a post recently that was a bit offensive towards a group of people, and in the comments they asked this YouTuber to address this issue, and they did in another post. They're like, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know this meant this." Right? I didn't understand. I wasn't educated. I didn't know. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I realized what I said was offensive to this group of people. Respect for that person is so high after that. Okay? You can inadvertently hurt somebody. And that does not mean you didn't hurt them. Okay? What you said hurt somebody. Even if it was inadvertent, right? Address it. Okay? You can make mistakes on accident. It happens all the time. Definitely want to apologize if you did it on purpose, though. And I think that if you did it on purpose, apologizing is very admirable because it shows that you've changed. Very admirable. Okay? Speak to this person or group of people in particular and tell them that you are sorry. If it was one specific person, you may want to address them in private if possible. If not, it's fine to address it in a public setting. I would say that you at least need to say publicly that you've apologized to this person, because your fans or your fans or viewers or the people watching you they're going to have some concerns about your behavior after seeing this, and they want to know that you are a good person, right? That you did apologize. Because even if I'm not the one hurt, I'm not going to support someone who has hurt somebody else, right? I want to know the person I'm supporting is someone worthy of my support. So you do probably want to mention publicly, at least that you've apologized to the specific person. If it's a group of people, address them in particular in your apology, right? Address them in particular. If I said something offensive to a specific culture or group of people, inadvertently, whatever, my apology, I want to address this specific group of people and say, hey, I'm really sorry. To you specifically, because you are the ones that I have hurt. You don't need to apologize to people you didn't hurt, really. You do want them to know you did apologize, though, is basically what I'm getting at. Talk about your plans to make changes to your content in order to stop these mistakes from happening. You want to improve after this, okay? If you continue making the same mistakes over and over again, even though you apologized, your apology is going to look insincere, because it kind of is, okay? I'm sorry that I used this without credits. And then you continue to use it without credits. Are you really sorry? If you were really sorry, you would give credits. Okay? Or don't use it altogether either. It's your decision. It's your decision. If you don't make changes, your apology means nothing, okay? It's insincere. Insincere apologies are worth nothing. If anything, they make you look even worse, okay? You want to make changes. You want to make sure that you do not repeat this mistake. And it might happen. It might happen. People are prone to making the same mistake multiple times. If it happens again, apologize. Okay? And if you're prone to doing it, perhaps put barriers in place to prevent yourself from doing it, right? If you, say, have a bad habit of taking art from Pinterest and posting it in your videos without crediting the artists, then just don't post other people's art in your videos. Maybe just for a while. Maybe you need to learn how to find the original artists, or whatever that is, right? Point is, you need to make changes. You need to make changes. So, speaking of making changes, that's step number 3. Apologizing is great and all, but it doesn't mean anything if it isn't followed by action. Actions are a lot stronger than words in most cases. I can say I'm sorry, but if I don't show that I'm sorry, people are not going to believe me. Okay? I, back in the day, used gachatubers for a few videos. I realized that was problematic and I stopped using it. Maybe you did too. I know a lot of people went through this. Okay? It happened to a lot of us. We didn't know. And we have moved on. And that's a great example, because I feel like that happened to a lot of people. There was also a trend not too long ago where a base was combined with a gacha character. And people didn't know, like, the base wasn't supposed to be used. It was either it wasn't supposed to be used at all, or you had to give credits. I forget, but I think it wasn't supposed to be used at all. They didn't know. They apologized, they moved on, right? They didn't do it again. Important. It's followed by action. Do not leave your apology as empty words. Think about the mistake you made and what needs to be changed in order to prevent yourself from repeating those same mistakes. I kind of said all this already, I'm realizing. But, again, if you have to put a barrier for yourself, put a barrier for yourself, okay? If you're prone to making the same mistake, then you need to be aware of that, and you need to train yourself to get out of that habit. It's hard to get out of habits, and it takes time, and you need to be able to commit that. Very important. Not just for your image, right? But for you as a person. This is an opportunity to grow as a person. This process varies depending on the mistake you make, right? Sometimes, like, shoot, I lost my train of thought. You know, sometimes you make a mistake and it's kind of not really connected to anything else you do. And then sometimes you make a mistake and it is. Like, I know for me, speaking from personal experience, after I realized that gachatubers stole assets, I started looking at some other mods I had installed, and they had stolen assets also. And so I've stopped using mods that I can't confirm have all original assets, right? I don't want to make that mistake again of using those assets that were stolen, right? And that's me. And whatever mistake you made, I want you to be able to go forward and fix it. Very good. It's very admirable. Right? Once again, make this plan clear to your audience and update them with your progress. Make sure to shift your mindset to be more understanding towards this person or group you've harmed. Your content will improve and your viewers will thank you. There can definitely be a fear of, if I do this, if I stop, say, tracing bevel bond as art, my videos are going to look worse. No, they're not. People notice you trace bevel bond as art. That makes your video not good. Even if your art isn't very good, it's better. It's a better video because it's your art. Okay? Your content will improve and you will grow as an artist over time, I promise. Practice is what gives. Practice is how you grow as an artist. I know so many people are like, oh, I am not as talented as Devil Bonnet. I could never draw like that. She did not come out of the womb drawn like that, okay? And that's one of the reasons it's really hurtful for you to trace her art and kind of make her hard work seem kind of worthless in a sense. You need to work on improving yourself and your own skills. And some mistakes happen all the time, and it's okay to make them. Think of them as an opportunity to grow as a content creator and as a person. Right? This whole process is both about your image as a content creator and your character as a person. Mistakes happen. Everybody makes them. Again, I made them. I gave you at least one example. Right? It's okay. It's okay. This is an opportunity to grow. There's not a content creator who's been around for, let me rephrase that. Every content creator that's been around for long enough has made a mistake. Because that is just the nature. That's just the nature of people. People make mistakes. And mistakes are an opportunity to grow. Think of them as an opportunity to grow. It's not the end of the world. It's an opportunity to become even better. Right? I see people apologizing for mistakes they made, and I think that is good. Makes me support them more. It can be a scary experience to be called out, but unless you post a bat crap apology, people will continue to support you. I know the internet is terrible. It's a terrible place. You're going to get hate comments for stuff. People will hate over people for zero reason. I've seen this. I've seen the most completely useless reasons to hate on somebody. To hate on someone for a small mistake they made, well, medium-sized mistake they made like 10 years ago. It just kills me. I don't understand. It was so long ago. Like, why did you back read all their messages to find that? Have you no life? People will hate on you. And those people, you don't want those people in your community anyway. They're terrible. They're terrible people. Good people, real fans, will continue to support you if you make the correct decisions, right? I have seen some people that I follow make mistakes and apologize, and I'm still there. In fact, I think more of them after that, if anything. It's scary, I know. It's scary to be called out. I haven't really been publicly called out on YouTube, but I have been called out in other contexts. It's terrifying. But you need to understand that all your people aren't leaving you because you made one mistake. As long as you're able to apologize correctly, deal with that mistake correctly, your fans are still going to be there. The real ones. The real ones. The ones you actually want. Alright. Admitting you're wrong doesn't make you weaker, it makes you stronger. It takes bravery to do that. So that is the end of my PowerPoint presentation. I hope that this was helpful to you. Because I know there's a lot going on right now, and it's scary. It is scary to think about sometimes. And I want you to be equipped to handle your mistakes in a way that is both good for your image and shows good character. Okay? Because that's important. This is an important skill, not just in the realm of content creating, but in your life too. Apologizing for your mistakes is important. You cannot go back and undo your mistakes, no matter how much you regret it. But showing people that you regret it and that you want to move forward and become better as a result, that is amazing. That's an amazing thing to do. Thank you so much for watching this. I really appreciate it. I don't normally make videos like this, but I felt like it was important with everything that's going on right now. It will also help you to recognize bad apologies, I hope, by knowing what the good apology is supposed to look like. And this isn't like a strict, you have to follow this or it's a bad apology. This is just some steps that I came up with, right, based on the definition of apology that I found in the dictionary. You can do some variation of this as long as you avoid like some of the things I mentioned, right? It doesn't have to be the specific formula. And I hope that you, if you are a content creator, are able to grow in whatever you do. And I hope you as a viewer are able to enjoy watching your favorite content creators grow. And I thank you very much for supporting me as a content creator by watching this till the very end. I would very much like it if you would like the video or maybe subscribe to my channel because it will help more people see this video and understand what a good apology should look like. And that's it! Have an amazing day if it's day for you, and if it's night, go to bed.